Peace and love, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday Hope and Healing session. I'm your host, Royce Fletcher Thomason, and here on this channel, what we do is endeavor to help elevate the vibration of people. We assist in actual healing of physical conditions, as well as mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual issues to help us be the best versions of ourselves. And those people who are practitioners of the methodology of transcending the matrix see that happen on the behalf of people that they work with and help to experience medical miracles. And they also experience that within themselves and the purification of their own soul. And so I'm happy to be here with you today. We're here on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and always happy to be able to share some love with you and light and just overall good vibes. Jennifer Bliss is in the building. Welcome, Jennifer. Good to have you on today. And much love. Just putting out a bunch of good vibes out there to everybody who is open to receive them. So, kind of the theme for today, the focus point for today is the power of community, and the healing that we'll be doing will be around this topic for today. If, however, you do happen to have some kind of physical ailment or some specific issue going on with you, please let us know, and we're more than happy to support you in that. Curly Conscious King, greetings to you, my brother. Happy Sunday to you, and abundant love, light, and blessings to you as well, and always. It's cool because Jennifer Bliss is the reason that I even know of Curly Conscious King. So it's good to see the two of you here in the space at the same time, which is in a way kind of a replay from Friday evening in a different kind of space. But good to see you both here on today. Anyway, like I said earlier, our focal point for today is the power of community. The power of community. And this is something that I was really meditating on, and I find there to be just a tremendous amount of value in the power of community. I'm very, very blessed to be able to be a part of community. And what is community, really? You know, a reality of what happens for us living on planet Earth sometimes is that we can go through different life situations, different challenges, different difficulties. And for those people who are on what they experience is to be something of maybe a more unique spiritual path or a more unique spiritual journey, it can often feel a little isolating sometimes. It can sometimes have one feeling a little alone. And that's not necessarily always a good feeling to be able to have, or for a person to have. And it speaks to, while we're each individually unique, we each need to be able to enjoy the presence of our own company. We each need to be able to thrive whether or not we're in a state of solitude or amongst other people. We need to be able to love on ourselves even if nobody else is loving on us. All of these things are very true. All of these things are very true. At the same time, we are very much hardwired for connection. We're very much hardwired for connection. Our brains in our creation were established to be able to have a sense of connection. Really, quite frankly, it's that way with all mammals. All mammals are hardwired for a connection in a way that reptiles are not. Okay, the creation and the building and the release of oxytocin into the system that takes place when a baby is feeding from her mother. You know, and that's again whether we're talking about humans or animals. This sense of connection is something that's needed. And so in this context of community, the power of community, community isn't just about being amongst other people. Community is about dwelling in a state of in a space of common unity. Common unity, where you're amongst some folks who you've got some stuff in common with that you can connect with. A reality is that being with other people is not in and of itself a recipe for not being lonely. Okay. I've shoot. I've definitely experienced being in a house with another person and feeling completely lonely in that context. Um, Maybe you've experienced something similar. Maybe even being around a group of a whole bunch of people, but feeling cut off, not feeling really that sense of connection. And so community is really dealing with having space where there's common ground and there's a sense of unity, a sense of oneness at one minute, a sense of common connection where there's energy that you can feed off of one another, that you can support one another and feel the blessing of the energy of that support. We've got folks who are here today that I believe that we all would say that we feel blessed to be part of the Transcending the Matrix community, where we're able to be here in support of one another. And at least once a month, we do support sessions, right? To encourage support, be there for one another, have a safe space where healing can happen for us and where we can offer healing for others. I find that incredibly important, which is why we do that. The reason that we, anybody who takes the Transcending the Matrix classes, review them for free an infinite number of times, because I believe there's value in coming together as community. And I've observed this for a long time. Before Transcending the Matrix was even developed, I observed that being in the presence of other people who are operating in that healing vibe, it made us all better healers. It made us all more equipped to do what it is that we're doing. I would find that when I connected with other people and that I trained with, for instance, before Transcending the Matrix was developed, that I felt really energized and encouraged and strengthened. And I found the healings to take place much more quickly and much more efficiently. That was my observation 20 something years ago, right? I'm blessed that I get to be a part of a few different communities. The particular school that I went to for my undergraduate education, what led me to enroll at that school was the sense of family that I felt on the campus. This deep sense of history was another part, but I definitely felt this strong sense of family in connection with that. And I'm so thankful that now, having graduated a long, long, long time ago, I can go just about anywhere and there's somebody there that I know. There's somebody there that I know based on that common connection. There's a scripture that I learned while I was in college, actually, from the Bible, the Old Testament of the Bible, the book of Psalms, the 133rd Psalm, that starts off, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity," right? Talking about that sense of community once again. And it was in the context, that learning of that scripture was actually in the context of a brotherhood that I joined while I was in college, which I still get to enjoy the benefit and the blessing of today. And I was spending time with other members of this brotherhood yesterday, the day before yesterday, Friday. And it's a blessing to be able to do that. It's a blessing to be able to do that. there some of us have families that we feel we don't have anything in common with. Some of us have families where we feel a strong sense of connection. That's another place that that sense of community can take place. And you know we all feel a need to be connected with our tribe, whether we're consciously even aware of that or not. We feel like we need to be connected on some level with folk who are like us in some way, that we have something in common with, that we can relate on some level, that we can support one another, and that we can feel at rest and at home with. When we have difficult times where we know that there are people there who are holding sacred space for us. And we contribute to that by holding sacred space for others who are part of the group, part of the community, part of that particular collective with which we feel some sense of alignment, right? And so there's a profound power in community. Yesterday in Detroit, there was a love gathering that was taking place that gave an opportunity for people in a community called Transforming Love Community to come and gather together in a spirit of love and support and oneness and wholeness and truth, right? And so that's a beautiful thing for that to be able to happen, for there to be a sense of community. Now, here's the challenge. Sometimes it's difficult to find that experience of community. I even sometimes have challenges or have had challenges with respect to that. I moved to a new state, and this was back in 2020, relatively early during the coronavirus pandemic. And I did actually have some family members in the state, uh, and that was a blessing to be able to experience. But before that, it had been like 6 months since I had eaten with another human being, since I had shared a meal with another human being. Um, but and even still, it took a little while to kind of experience this outside of my family, to experience some sense of community. As someone who works from home, lives alone, works from home, definitely times feeling of isolation kicked in, and it's kicked in more often than I'm even happy to admit. And even more recently than I would really like to admit, but that's the truth of the matter. And so my mind has come, like, God has spoken to my consciousness about this value in community. And I'm thankful that I've been able to connect in different areas with different communities, if you will, right? Some based on particular genre of music that I enjoy, some based on other people who share in similar brotherhood or sisterhood that I am a part of. And you know a variety of different situations, some in person, some virtually. But I'm coming to be able to embrace and enjoy that more. I'm feeling the difference that it's making. And I want us all to be able to feel the difference and the value of community, of feeling connected with other folks who get you. And I'm not going to tell you that in all of the different circles in which I move, I'm starting to move in more circles here where I'm located now, so I can blossom where I'm planted, if you will. Not every circle does everything for me. However, in every circle, there's something that each circle does for me, right? And in each circle, I'm able to contribute something in some way. And so, as we get ready to get into the healing of this, what we're really doing is opening ourselves up to be in a greater sense of alignment with a sense of community where we feel connected, supported, and supportive. All right. Where we can feel very naturally aligned, where we can holistically operate, and where we feel we're adding value and there's value being added to us. Right. Okay. So that's what the healing focus is going to be about today. So we're going to get into that now. And so, God, I know you to be the source of all oneness, as well as the source of all healing. You are the ultimate healer. And I give thanks that I get to be a vessel of that healing on today, on the behalf of everybody who chooses to tap into this. If you choose to tap into this right now and receive this healing, speak your name right now. For the purpose of neutralizing the root cause of all feelings of isolation, of all feelings of loneliness, all feelings of feeling cut off or disconnected from the point of the causal root and the entire energetic structure of every strand of DNA and every cell of each person's body, every string particle of each person's existence, every aspect of every person's beingness. From the point of the causal root, transmuting that into and replacing it with the joyous sense of the empowered feeling of community, feeling aligned and connected with a sacred, safe space or with safe spaces where we can truly be ourselves, truly express our uniqueness, feel heard and seen, and also be able to offer that to others who are part of the community. And I bear witness to this as part of our reality, and I bear witness to our wholeness on this date and in this time and space called now. Thank you. Thank you for this gift, oh God, of your divine love. We affirm it is done, it is done, it is done. And Hashem Yeshua HaMashiach, Ashe, and Amen. Okay, all right. So let's get into the healing on this. And so let's first of all look at this sense of isolation that comes with the traumatic experience of being born into the earth, right? Of moving from the heavenly realm into the earthly realm and not bringing the heavenly realm with us in consciousness. Okay. Let's look at the pain that's felt from the sense of feeling disconnected from the heavenly state, feeling disconnected from God, feeling disconnected from our true selves, from our spirit selves, and then being catapulted into this awareness of a physical self, a sense of separate self, and transmuting that back into awareness of oneness with God, oneness with your true self, oneness with other spiritual beings that love you and support you. When I look at I know this is something I experienced. Other people who resonate with this work may feel a sense of resonance with this as well. Feeling like life on planet Earth doesn't always make sense the way that folks do things here. and feeling alone and isolated in terms of consciousness, in terms of souls of similar consciousness. All right, and let's transmute that into and replace that with the awareness that God has you covered, that God has not forgotten about you, that God is sending souls your direction who see you. Also, the awareness that a big part of the reason of feeling this is because of being stuck in the Maya of illusion in terms of one's own spiritual vision, being dulled or dimmed or clouded or distorted as a function of the grid lines of the matrix through which we're viewing life. All right. And then transmuting that into being able to see beyond the illusion as it's being presented in terms of these souls with who you may come in contact with that seem utterly discordant to your own vibration. Okay. And to be able to see beyond your own matrix infused vision of them, to be able to see the truth of them, and to be able to remember the love that you share in the spirit. Even if how they're behaving doesn't look anything like that at all. Did not know I'd be going here so early. Quite honestly, I really did not know we'd be going here so early. Okay. Alrighty. So let's look right now at let's look at disconnection from true self and look more fully at feeling reconnected with your true self. Okay, why do we feel disconnected from our true self? Because of that part of us that's trying to edge God out, that wants its attention and is seeking its own survival. Unfortunately, we often align with that uppercase ego, that part of us that tries to edge God out. And that manifests in a lot of insidious ways. And sometimes it manifests in our feelings and our experiences of loneliness and isolation, feeling cut off. The reality is we're never cut off from God. And we're only cut off from our truest selves when we allow ourselves to align more fully with the messages of our ego, the part of us that's trying to edge God out. It's easy to hear what the ego is saying because it usually talks loudly, where the spirit speaks in a still, small voice. So let's look at being aware of the distractions without being distracted by them. And being able to tune out the distractions to the things of spirit. Including where to go to connect with and align with one's tribe. Feel guided back to connect with those who have a similar song in their heart and who will learn the song in your heart and sing it back to you when you've forgotten. Okay. And whom you are happy to learn the song in their heart and sing it back to them when they've forgotten. Let's look at feelings of unworthiness. Let's not go there yet. Let's look at attachment to our own victim stories. Ouch. Attachment to our own victim stories. And our compulsion to keep telling our victim stories. Compulsion to accept the invitation to our own pity party. To extend the invitation to others and accept it. Okay. And any subconscious benefit from repeating our victim stories and trying to get others to attend our pity party. That's very disempowering, actually. It's not empowering other people, and it's certainly not empowering to us. And so we're dealing with the power of community. Okay. Which includes the power of community. Part of what unfolds with the power of community is the blessing of accountability. So let's look at resistance to accountability. Let's root that out. Let's root out any subconscious preference for being irresponsible. Whew. All right. Any subconscious preference for being irresponsible or not having to be responsible for your choices and station in life. And openness for accountability partnership that supports you in being the best version of you. And is able to do so in a way that actually speaks to you and reaches you, encourages you, and inspires you. And is able to speak the truth to you in love. Not afraid to speak the truth to you, but speaks the truth to you, does so tempered with love. Okay. Now let's look at this. Let's look at addiction to people boosting our ego that don't have good intentions towards us. Okay, that's not coming up as a strong issue. Good. Glad to see that. All righty. Scripture that's coming to my mind. It says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of the enemy are deceitful. All right. Yet we don't want to, we want to be able to, with wisdom, share the truth with love in a way that it can be heard and received and be empowering for those that we want to be a blessing to, and we want to receive it in that way as well. All right. Now let's look at attachment to what's familiar. All right. Sometimes what's familiar isn't necessarily always what's best for us. Sometimes what's familiar isn't where we really find community, right? There's a difference between familiar and being aligned with one's soul family, if you will, right? Ooh, let's actually deal with that for a minute. Um, let's strengthen us all for a sense of vibrational alignment with our soul family. We're naturally aligned with our soul family, but ability to be able to find and connect with members of our soul family, those souls who are kindred spirits, who we can genuinely connect with, and even in the midst of that genuine connection, can identify the human stuff that could create issues and be able to establish some healthy boundaries as well. Okay. All right. And to honor those boundaries for ourselves and experience others honoring those boundaries also in a way that really truly allows for genuinely healthy connection. All right. Okay. All righty. Now let's look at the stuff that would stand in the way of us being in alignment with those who we would most fully actually be able to really truly connect with. Let's look at the fear of being hurt. As we can resist connecting with those with whom we could really most deeply connect because we don't want to connect with them and then be disappointed or be hurt by it. That's really coming from fears of the past projected into the future. So we want to neutralize those fears past past negative experiences, from past traumas, and those past hurts and disappointments. We want to completely neutralize those and transmute them into profoundly fulfilling experiences going forth that can be trusted, that can be truly trusted. From a TV show called Unprisoned, I recently heard this cool definition of trust. Trust is the confidence that you have in another person's reliability. I thought that was kind of cool. Um, all right, so that where we can actually truly have confidence in the reliability of others and see that actually consistently followed up on. They're consistently following through. All righty. And let's address it the other way too, where we ourselves are also able to be for others truly trustworthy in terms of demonstrating reliability to be who we say we are and show up how we say that we will. Okay. And to operate in a true sense of authenticity, strengthen that, of authenticity and integrity. Okay. All right. Thank you, God. All right. Now let's look at Let's look at the collective consciousness of humanity. In the collective consciousness of humanity, what typically is sought more than community is compliance. Compliance more than community. Convention more than community. So let's look at genuine, to be able to fully operate in a sense of agency, feeling free, where you're free to be who you really are, and have that embraced. And confidence of being embraced for who you genuinely, authentically are. And even be embraced in the midst of whatever your shortcomings are, in a community that lovingly supports you and overcoming those shortcomings, embraces you where you are, and lovingly supports you in overcoming those shortcomings. Oh, what a beautiful thing that is. All right. Now, let's look at what else. What are some other things that actually stand in the way of that? Walls around our hearts. The walls around our hearts, we erect these walls because we think that they'll make us feel safer. They'll keep us from being vulnerable, keep us from being hurt. What they really do is actually imprison us. They actually imprison us. So let's look at, rather than setting up walls, transmuting those walls around the heart to filters around the heart. So that the only things that can penetrate the filter are love and light. And yet we're not imprisoned. We can still move freely. We're free to love. We're free to be loved. We're free to embrace. We're free to be embraced. We're free to commune with those with whom we feel a connection, and to enjoy all of the fruits and the privileges and the joy and the sense of empowerment that comes with that. All right. At the same time, keeping at bay all the negativity without imprisoning ourselves, and keeping that good stuff from getting to us, and keeping that good stuff from coming through us. We want that goodness to be able to flow, to be able to freely flow to us and through us, right? And feeling safe and protected at the same time, without having to overguard and overprotect, because we know that we're covered. Okay. All right, so let's look at for some reason, what's coming up is inner child wounds. Let's address some of these matters within the inner child and bring some healing to that inner child, where one's inner child felt like they had to behave in certain ways to get approval from others or acceptance from others, or to simply be able to survive. and develop these various trauma responses that are no longer useful. All right, so we're going to address that inner child and replace those things with the inner child feeling loved. Yes. Feeling loved, feeling cared for, feeling safe, feeling stood up for, feeling honored, feeling valued, and feeling secure. Ooh, that was an issue. Let's boost that feeling secure. Okay. All right, that's looking much better now. Still feel like there are some other things there, so let's find what else is there. I'm seeing a vision of a little child in a corner feeling afraid. Feeling afraid of one who's actually intended to make one feel safe. Some adult in their life. All right. From this, the idea that people are unsafe. So let's address that belief system that people are unsafe and transmute that into and replace it with that God is safe. That God is a safe space. And then to be able to see and align with the divinity within other people, the presence of God in other people, and know that we have a safe space in the presence of God in other people. And where we're able to be in spaces and places where the presence of God and other people is activated in them and activated in us. Okay, I like that. That's feeling good. Alrighty. Want to look at something else too, and that's like attachment to one's comfort zone. We get attached to the stuff that's familiar to us. A lot of times, what's familiar to us is not what's best for us. It's just what we're used to. We learn to operate according to what we've known, even if what we've known has been something that's made us miserable. Yet it can be scary to step out to something and venture into a different direction of something that maybe not so familiar with. Maybe you haven't really had these years of socialization in connection with this particular thing or this particular space that actually would be very supportive of you. And so there may be some anxiety about entering into spaces where you can feel a true sense of community. It's called stepping outside of your own box. Okay. Alrighty. There's a play that I saw in 1997. Uh, It was essentially a one-man play. There was actually a guy on the piano who said a couple lines here and there. But it was performed by a gentleman, an actor by the name of Gregory Allen Williams. Um, and it was called The Life and Times of Deacon Thomas A. Wiley. I think that was the name, Life and Times of Deacon Thomas A. Wiley. And there was a part he was talking through the story. He had been born in slavery. Slavery ended during his lifetime, and he was sharing his accounts. That's what this play was. And he talked about when slavery ended, a lot of folks who had been owned in chattel slavery, the unjust institution of chattel slavery, still stuck around the plantations where they had previously lived. Because that was familiar to them, and they liked the taste of freedom. They wanted to experience relating it to an ocean. They wanted to be able to feel the water, but they wanted to stay close to the shore, if you will. They didn't want to step too far outside of what they had known, what they were accustomed to, what they were familiar with. And there's a lot of that manifests itself in our lives today in terms of us wanting to stick to what feels comfortable, what feels familiar, what we're used to. I heard Dr. Charles Adams say one time, that, or maybe it was somebody else, I don't recall, that sometimes it's easier to stick with the hell that we know than a heaven that's unfamiliar. It's sometimes easy for us to stay trapped, whether that's unhealthy relationships or any other kind of situation. All right, so let's look at opening up new neural pathways in the brain, increasing neuroplasticity, and open up new neural pathways in the brain that allow us to travel down roads that would actually lead us to brighter, more beautiful pastures that we can really enjoy and where we can really, truly thrive. Okay? And bring up a confidence that will be supported and that will be supported in doing so. All righty. Okay. So I'm just going to do a couple more things, and this is dealing with creating community. There's a poem, it's coming to my mind right now. And it talks about somebody dealing with difficult times. And it's saying, if you find yourself in these situations and maybe you're feeling a little sorry for yourself, maybe things aren't going as well as you'd like for them to, do something for somebody quick. Do something for somebody else. If you're a person who's experiencing some sense of disconnection, some sense of isolation, show up for somebody else who's experiencing a sense of isolation. Be the change that you want to see in the world, in other words. Show up for somebody in the way that you're wanting to see somebody show up for you. Because the reality is that if you're experiencing it, then there's somebody else who's also experiencing it that you can actually help support in feeling better. Okay. And so there may be situations wherein you can actually be the person who starts the community. But guess what? I was blessed to start this work of transcending the matrix. I'm able to be a blessing to other people as a result, and the people who are part of this community if you will. They're certainly a blessing to me as well. In fact, two people who've been here today, Jennifer and the Curly Conscious King, both just in the last couple of days have reached out to me unexpectedly with sharing beautiful messages that touched my spirit, spoke to my soul. I appreciate you both and the light that you both share, your beingness, who you are in this earth. Thank you for how you show up, and I'm deeply grateful that we get to be on the planet at the same time and to be able to be a part of one another's lives in the way that we are. Even though the way that we interact with each other is virtually. Alrighty, so yeah, thank you for the healing that's taken place today. Thank you for aligning us with a sense of agency relative to our ability to be aligned, powerfully aligned with, in a sense of community, being able to have that sense of common unity where we feel fully alive, completely ourselves, fully self-expressed, embraced for who we are, and able to also be that for one another. Thank you, God, for all of these blessings and all of these gifts of your divine love that you so lovingly and graciously shower upon us, and from the beauty of your holiness into the sacredness of our lives, and being able to bring beauty for ashes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ashe and amen. Alrighty, beloveds. That pretty much wraps us up for this particular Sunday Hope and Healing session. If you're wanting to be a part of this Transcending the Matrix community, just reach out to us. You can reach out to me at Royce Fletcher Thomason on Facebook or on Instagram. You can also reach out on Instagram via Transcending the Matrix. We'd love to sow into you, to pour into you, to help bring new levels of love and light into your life, to be able to encourage you and to be able to be in partnership, in this healing journey. Not only of your healing, but the healing of other people, and empowering you to be able to make a positive impact, not only in your own life, but in that of others as well. If you feel blessed by this work and you want to sow into it, there's also availability to do that. You can do that via Cash App at $Royce F. Thomason. That's always an available option. But in closing, I just want to again send out a bunch of love, everybody's direction. I give great thanks for you and your commitment to your journey. If you are still watching this at this point, there's something special about you, because not everybody would stick around for this kind of material. Not everybody is going to feel drawn to this kind of material. But if you're feeling drawn to this kind of material, there's truly something very special about you, that you've been watching for a whole hour in this era of give it to me now, give it to me quickly, short attention spans. Then there's a certain level of spiritual maturity that you possess. And there's a certain degree of commitment that you have to your own spiritual journey. And I want to honor that in you. Anyway, as always, as we continue to align with the sustainable state of supreme satisfaction that's in you, with peace and loves, have a beautiful rest of your day and a fabulous week.